So this seems to be an issue in America where black people get arrested or stopped or have the police called on them for doing normal human things. It's a bit of a strange situation. Doesn't seem to happen anywhere else. But black people can be doing things like barbecuing or sitting at their own apartment pools or minding their own business in their own apartments where, and then you end up having somebody calling the cops on you or a cop busting in your apartment and shooting you to death. That seems to be happening a lot. Now, the newest example of this is when a candidate was stopped by police for knocking on doors. Well, that's interesting. Now, the Capital Times reports that someone had called the police in August after watching Dane County Supervisor Sheila Stubbs knocking on doors. She was in the middle of a political campaign. That's really strange. Now, the 46-year-old Stubbs said that she had to explain to the officer that she was running a political campaign. She said, "Officer, I'm campaigning. That involves knocking on doors and going from house to house. That's what you do. That's called canvassing. That's politics 101. But apparently, that was somehow suspicious to somebody in that particular neighborhood where she was stopped. Hey, there's a black person. There's knocking on doors. Somebody help. Obviously, she doesn't belong here. Scary black person. Ridiculous. Now, thankfully, the officer's report indicated that the encounter ended amicably. Nobody got shot, with Stubbs sharing her cell phone number with the officer with an offer to help the officer improve racial relations in Madison. So this happened in Wisconsin. So here's the thing. That's an example of attempting to turn what is widely a negative into something that could be a positive. Hey, give me a call. I will help your department be better with race relations. I mean, what do you do when you're in that situation? I think she did the right thing. Now, Stubbs still felt that she was humiliated and degraded. She says it shouldn't be strange that a black woman is knocking on doors in 2018. Well, now here's the thing, right? So it feels like in America, I know everybody says this, I've said this before. It's 2018, why is this happening? But it feels like our society itself has regressed. Since the election of Donald Trump, we have actually seen more incidents of this. And maybe it's because people are now filming it. Black people, people of color have had enough. And they're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to start filming this shit so that people can see what we're going through every single day. Or it could be there are more incidents. I'm not entirely sure. Could be that we just didn't know about this because people weren't filming it or putting it up or, social media, etc. So that's not to say that Donald Trump is the cause of these incidents. However, I do have to say that I think he has emboldened racists that already exist, the racist underbelly that has already existed in the United States through his rhetoric. And of course, you got to look at the people he surrounds himself with. There was Steve Bannon before the fallout. And then there's white supremacist Stephen Miller. So look, and there are other people that he talks to, he surrounds himself with. And just, he's been racist pretty much his entire life. He's had these biases against other people. And he is actually very, very open with them. And that has a tendency to embolden people who are racist. Now, it doesn't surprise me at all that people are calling cops on black people for doing normal things. It keeps happening over and over again. It has happened to black police officers. Oh, hey, there's a guy who's dressed up as a police officer who is looking into people's windows. Yeah, it was a black police officer looking for evidence in a shooting. It keeps happening over and over again. Barbecue Becky, great example. Pool Patrol Paula. I mean, you name it. We've seen it. This is just another incident in which somebody had a racial bias and somebody thought, oh my God, scary black person in my neighborhood, what do we do? What do we do? You don't do anything. If they're not causing anybody harm, then they have every right to be in that neighborhood as you do. Knocking, especially if you're knocking on doors doing a political campaign. This country's gone insane. If that's not indicative of an issue with racial biases and stereotypes, I don't know what is. But there is a way that we can do something about it, and we can actually realize that we have these biases and stereotypes and admit, yeah, maybe I do think of black people differently, and maybe I shouldn't. That realization would go a long way into making sure these things don't happen. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.